breaking news and expert commentary. This is The Morning Answer with Jen and Grant.
Thanks for joining us. It is Friday, October 10th, 21 minutes past the hour. I'm Jennifer Horn.
And I'm Grant Stinchfield. All right. We have got to get creative when it comes to stopping Prop 50. This is the Democrats' plan to redistrict, overwhelm Congress in D.C. with Democrats by adding seats in California. This is to counteract Texas's plan. Mm-hmm. I don't think we're getting creative enough when it comes to, well, Jen, you think we need to rope-a-dope here.
I think we need to rope-a-dope. And so I was saying earlier on, it can't be, and the Prop 50 campaign has been doing a great job, but we need to do what the Yes on 50 campaign is doing, which is lie to voters and try to mislead them. So bringing in the former chairwoman of the Republican Party in California, Jessica Milan Patterson, is here. You can follow her at Milan Patterson. Jessica, we were thinking of ideas, and we asked our listeners, we said, all right, if you're working for no on Proposition 50, how would you message it best? And so Grant has a submission. Good morning to you. Are you ready to hear Grant's submission for a new no on Prop 50 ad?
I'm dying to hear it.
It's actually pretty good. Very
Jen, I need you to keep an open mind on this. I don't know if you're going to like it. Jen and I said we don't know if you're going to like it.
Okay.
But Jessica, keep an open mind, okay?
Right, here we go.
All right, here we go. Dan, roll it. Prop 50 is a Trojan horse, a Republican power grab. The minority MAGA crowd in Sacramento has duped Democrat lawmakers, even Gavin Newsom, into pushing Prop 50 on California. In a few short years, it will be used against Californians to take away your power. Vote no on Prop 50. Stop the Republican Trojan horse.
Brought to you by The Morning Answer and Grant Stinchfield. All right, Jessica, what do you think? Should we rope-a-dope these guys and lie like the Yes on 50 campaign continues to do?
I'm pretty disappointed I didn't think of this myself.
It's rope-a-dope is what we do.
It's brilliant, and I'm going to share that with the group. The good news is that we happen to be right on the issues. So we don't need to lie. We just need to make sure that we get our message out there. When we talk to people about this particular initiative, taking the power away from the people and giving it to Sacramento politicians who are drawing maps with DC insiders and lobbyists, that's not what California voters want. That is certainly not what they voted for, and they are not willing to give up their core principles, ideals, and values of what we have done here when it comes to political reform and giving power to the people just because it's being done in other places. And, I mean, that's a whole nother argument because what's happening in a place like Texas is very different from what's happening here.
All right, so what made us think of this is we heard Steve Hilton's commercial, and it's a great commercial, but it really goes after Gavin Newsom. And that's going to get, the Republicans, the people listening to AM870, the Make America Great Again crowd to vote no. And we need to inform them. But it's not going to work for Democrats. So do you think this
maybe even independents too
usable? Could we do something like this?
I think that you're absolutely right when it comes to what different messages or messengers help with on turnout, right? The Newsom ads, we have one of those too, and that is very helpful to turn out Republicans. But when we're talking to Democrats that believe California is on the wrong track, very gettable, persuadable Democrats, independents who have seen what California Democrats have done to our state, and every single time that we give them power, they never relinquish it. There has to be a different message or different messengers. And when we talk about a few things, this special election is now costing us $300 million when Sacramento told us they didn't have enough money to fund Prop 36 from last year that California voters overwhelmingly approved. When we talk about, what you can get for that $300 million, whether it's more police officers or firefighters, especially for the people in LA who have had to deal with these devastating fires, teachers when our schools are failing our children, those are the messages that work with the persuadables that we have to get to and be in front of before November 4th.
You know, Jessica, we were and just talking logistically, because once that messaging goes out there, I think we also have to make sure that the election is secure, which, of course, is always on all of our minds and in our hearts. And Grant brought up a story, which I know you've seen before as chairwoman of the Republican Party, these holes that are in the envelopes on the mail-in ballots. And I think that this reared its head during the Larry Elder election, the recall of Gavin Newsom. The mail-in ballots that they're saying now for Prop 50 have a hole right over the markings where you can vote yes or no. Now, I always said you have to.
Specifically, it was Sacramento County, and this little punch hole is right over where you see the circles for no or yes. So the thought is, if you see that someone voted no on it, you could take your pen and mark even in this little hole, and invalidate the ballot.
Is this concerning no on 50? And I mean, obviously, the message is to make sure you turn the ballot over if you're voting online or voting it by mail or vote in person. But what's the campaign saying about this?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this is one of those things where we have to watch, because we don't want to suppress our turnout. Mm-hmm. We know that the vote that isn't counted is the one that isn't cast. And so making sure that we're educating our voters, we spent a lot of time in the beginning part of this week talking to people in Sacramento County specifically. We want to make sure those ballots get in. And, you know, so be careful when you're putting your item back into the envelope. You can walk it into the county clerk's office. You can vote in person. So all of these different things that we can do to make sure that there's confidence in our election. And that's what we need to make sure, because we know that when confidence is driven down, people don't, if you don't think your vote's going to count, or you think that it can be manipulated, they won't show. Yeah. So we need to make sure that we are educating voters and that we are still turning them out.
So there's an easy solution, and Jen said it. You turn your ballot over. But you cannot tell me that it's a coincidence that the one place there's a punch hole happens to be right over the top of where you can see yes or no. I mean, the outrage in California of the lengths that these people will go, specifically Democrats, is amazing to me. So I want people to turn their ballots in, turn them over, mail them in, turn them in, whatever you want to do. Is there any way we can expose these people, though? Because I think this amounts to cheating.
Yeah, and certainly, I mean, just last week when I was on your show, we were talking about the inconsistent maps that were on the voter guides, mm-hmm. right? This is what happens when you rush democracy. And so we will continue to make it a story. We will continue to talk about it, because if people don't know about it, they can't see what is being done, whether it's incompetence or it's nefarious. It shouldn't be done.
Give us an update as to where we are today, because I have my ballot in my hot little hands now. Jessica, I know a lot of people already have them. Voting has begun for Proposition 50. So where are we today? Have we started to see any early results, people sending their ballots back in? How is the no campaign feeling?
Yeah, as of yesterday, there was about 15,000. You know, the requirements for the ballots to be mailed was this past Tuesday. And so we're starting to see some come in. There's only one question on the ballot. You don't need a postage stamp. You fill it out, click that no box, then you put it in the envelope correctly so no one can see it when you're mailing it in. Sign your envelope and just drop it in the mail. That is the easiest thing to do. We are starting to see some small returns trickle in, especially from counties that got those ballots out before the deadline. But we're going to be pushing very, very hard. We want to make sure that Republican turnout is up in that 90-95% range for the no vote. And that is going to make it a lot easier for us getting wrong track Democrats and independents on the side of sanity.
Yeah, this is an important one, guys. So do not let that ballot sit and waste away on your dining room table or on your desk. You want to get that ballot in as soon as possible.
It's a must, and let me tell you why. God forbid Texas loses its court battle. Now you've opened up a can of worms where Texas now doesn't have the 5 extra seats and California does. Now we would be put behind the biggest 8 ball you can imagine.
That's
so
right.
We've got to stop this from happening in California. I'm really very, very concerned. I know, Jessica, I've voiced this to you. I know you guys are doing everything you can, but everybody's got to get out there and make sure we push back on this.
Stop50.org is the website. Final word for you, Jessica.
The best way that you can help us is either donate or give us your time. So stop50.org is the best place to get engaged with this campaign. Make sure we turn out every single one of those voters. So get in your ballot and find 3 more people to get their ballots into.
Absolutely. Donate, volunteer, and ask the people around you in your circles if they voted and tell them what this is really about. No on Prop 50. Stop50.org. Jessica Millan-Patterson, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Appreciate you. Have a great weekend.